I still remember the sound of the door closing behind me that morning. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just firm. Like a decision already made. "Morning," I said, forcing a smile as I stepped into the office. No one answered. Mark was at his desk, typing fast. Lena stood near the printer, shuffling papers she didn't need. I waited for the usual nod, the usual joke. Nothing. I cleared my throat. Did I miss something? Mark didn't look up. Busy morning. Lena finally glanced at me, then away. You should, Mr. Caldwell wants to see you. My stomach tightened. About what? She shrugged. Didn't say. I walked down the hallway I'd cleaned, painted, and protected for years. This building wasn't just work. It was where I stayed late, skipped holidays, fixed problems no one wanted. I'd slept on the office couch during storms. I'd defended this place like it was mine. Mr. Caldwell's door was open. Come in, he said without looking at me. I stepped inside. You wanted to see me? He finally raised his eyes. Cold. Professional. Not the man who once called me his right hand. Sit, he said. I didn't. He sighed. This won't take long. That doesn't sound good, I said. He folded his hands. We're making changes. What kind of changes? I asked. Necessary ones. I felt my jaw tighten. I've worked here 8 years. I know. I've never missed a deadline. I know. I've covered for Mark. For Lena. For you. He looked away. This isn't personal. I laughed once. Short. Bitter. It always is. He slid a folder across the desk. We're terminating your contract. My ears rang. You're firing me? Yes. Why? He didn't answer. I leaned forward. Say it. He met my eyes. We need people who fit our future. I built your present, I said. That doesn't guarantee a place tomorrow. I swallowed. Is this Mark's idea? He stayed silent. Lena's? I asked. He stood up. You have 30 minutes to clear your things. My chest burned. 30 minutes? And you'll need to vacate the property today. I stared at him. The apartment? You were allowed to stay there because of your position. You mean the place I maintained for free? I asked. It's company property. So is my work, I said. Or was. His voice hardened. This conversation is over. I walked out slowly, like my legs weren't sure anymore. Lena moved when she saw me. I'm sorry, she said, too fast. For what? I asked. Her eyes filled, but she didn't answer. Mark finally looked up. It's not my fault. I nodded. It never is. He went back to typing. I opened my desk drawer. Years of my life fit inside it. A cracked mug. A photo from a company barbecue. A thank you card I never read again. Need help? Lena asked from the doorway. I shook my head. No. She lingered. You'll be okay. I looked at her. Will I? She left. A security guard I trained stood nearby, avoiding my eyes. Sir, I was told to escort you. I picked up my box. I know the way. The elevator ride felt longer than 8 years. Outside, the sky cracked open. Rain poured like it was waiting for me. I carried my box to the apartment upstairs. The key felt heavier than usual. Inside, the place was quiet. Empty already. Like it knew. I packed fast. Clothes. Books. Tools I bought myself. Everything I couldn't replace went last. There was a knock. 5 minutes, the guard said. I'm almost done. I stood in the doorway one last time. I'd fixed that sink. Painted that wall. Paid for that light. None of it mattered. I locked the door and handed over the key. Rain soaked through my shirt as I stepped onto the street. Cars passed. People hurried by. No one looked twice. I set the box down and stared at the building. 8 years. Gone. I thought of the late nights. The promises. The loyalty I believed in. If I disappear today, I whispered, no one here would care. And for the first time, I believed it. I didn't know where to go, so I walked. Rain kept hitting my face like it wanted to wake me up from something worse than a nightmare. You okay, man? Someone asked as they passed. I nodded without looking. Yeah. It was a lie, but strangers don't stay for truth. My phone buzzed. A message from Mark. Sorry it ended like this. I laughed out loud. You're sorry now. A woman under an umbrella glanced at me like I was crazy. I typed back, you could have said something. 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. I shoved the phone into my pocket. Figures. I sat on a bus stop bench, my box at my feet. The rain slowed. My hands shook, and I didn't know if it was cold or anger. I gave you everything, I muttered. Everything. A car honked nearby. Too close. I stood up, dizzy. Careful, someone yelled. The streetlights blurred. My foot slipped. I remember the sound. Metal screaming. Someone shouting my name, even though no one knew it. Then nothing. No pain. No fear. Just silence. Hey. I gasped and sat straight up. Whoa, a man said. You all right? I stared at him. Young. Familiar. Where am I? I asked. He frowned. Your room. You hit your head or something? I looked around. My old bed. My cracked ceiling. The poster I tore down years ago. No, I whispered. That's not possible. My phone buzzed again. I grabbed it. Monday, 7:12 a.m. 3 years earlier. I swung my legs off the bed. This can't be real. The landlord knocked. Rent's due today. My heart slammed. Mr. Harris? He squinted. Yeah? You're alive. He frowned. I hope so. I laughed. Loud. Shaky. Kid, he said, you feeling okay? I nodded. Better than you know. He left, muttering. I locked the door and slid down against it. I died, I said. I actually died. But my chest was warm. My hands steady. I stood and looked in the mirror. Younger. No gray. No tired eyes. They kicked me out, I whispered. And I came back. My phone buzzed again. A work group message. Morning meeting at 9. Don't be late. Mr. Caldwell's name sat at the top. I dropped onto the bed. So this is a second chance. My stomach twisted. Or a warning. I went to work like nothing changed. Morning, Lena said, smiling like she still trusted me. Morning, I replied. Mark slapped my shoulder. Rough weekend? I forced a grin. You have no idea. Mr. Caldwell walked in. Let's get started. I watched him talk. Same voice. Same calm lies. I leaned back and whispered to myself, I know how this ends. Lena leaned over. Say something? Just thinking, I said. About what? Who I trust, I replied. She laughed, not knowing. At lunch, Mark asked, You good, man? I met his eyes. Would you warn me if something bad was coming? He hesitated. Why? Just asking. He shrugged. Depends. I nodded. That's what I thought. That night, I sat alone. Okay, I said. No panic. No mistakes. I grabbed a notebook. Different choices. I wrote one line. Never be disposable again. I looked at it until my hand stopped shaking. This time, I whispered, I survive. And for the first time since the rain, I believed it. I learned fast that pretending was harder than suffering. Morning, Mark said, spinning his chair toward me. You're early. Couldn't sleep, I said. He laughed. Same. Deadlines, man. I nodded and sat down, keeping my eyes on my screen. Every sound felt louder now. Every word felt like a test. Lena leaned over the divider. You okay after yesterday's meeting? I'm fine, I said. You sure? Caldwell was intense. He's always intense, I replied. She smiled. Guess that's true. Mr. Caldwell walked past, coffee in hand. Good work on the maintenance reports, he said. Thank you, I answered. He paused. I'll need you to stay late this week. Of course, I said. He nodded and walked away. I stared at my screen, my jaw tight. You won't even remember my name when you throw me out, I thought. At lunch, Mark dropped into the chair across from me. You've been quiet. Just tired. You worried about the rumors, he asked. What rumors? He lowered his voice. Restructuring. Budget cuts. I shrugged. That stuff's above my pay grade. He studied me. You don't sound scared. I've learned not to be, I said. He laughed nervously. Must be nice. After work, I met Ethan at a small cafe. You look like hell, he said. Good to see you too. He leaned back. So? You said this was urgent. I need advice, I said. About money. He raised an eyebrow. That's new. I don't want to be dependent anymore. He smiled slowly. Now that makes sense. I told him everything. Not the rebirth. Just the fear. They don't value loyalty, I said. They value control. Ethan tapped the table. Then you need leverage. How? Invest small. Learn fast. Stay quiet. That sounds familiar, I said. He smirked. Smart people hide until it's time. Back at work, Mrs. Doyle stopped me near the elevator. You're dedicated, she said. I try. Don't let them burn you out. I met her eyes. I won't. She nodded, like she knew more than she said. Days passed. I stayed invisible. Fixed problems. Took blame. Smiled. Inside, I counted every insult like fuel. One night, I overheard Caldwell arguing on the phone. We're running out of time, he snapped. The property is bleeding money. I froze. That's not my problem, he continued. Find another buyer. My heart pounded. I walked away quietly. That night, I called Ethan. They're desperate, I said. He whistled. Then you're closer than you think. I stared at the ceiling. I'm not ready. You don't have to be, he said. Just don't waste it. At work the next day, Lena pulled me aside. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why do you still care? I blinked. About what? This place. After everything. I smiled faintly. Because I'm not done yet. She looked confused. I wasn't. Not even close. I didn't sleep the night Ethan sent the message. It's moving. You still in? I stared at my phone until my eyes burned. I'm in, I typed. The next morning, Mark leaned over my desk. You look awful. Didn't sleep, I said. Again, he joked. You're gonna burn out. I smiled. Maybe. Mr. Caldwell called a staff meeting before noon. Listen carefully, he said, pacing. We're under pressure, but I expect loyalty. Lena raised her hand. Pressure from where? He stopped. That's not your concern. I watched his jaw tighten. I'd heard the phone call. I knew he was cornered. After the meeting, Lena whispered, something's wrong. Things are always wrong, I said. No, she said quietly. This feels different. I didn't answer. That afternoon, Ethan called. The return solid. Not huge, but clean. I shut my office door. So it worked. It did, he said. First step. My chest loosened for the first time in weeks. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, he replied. This just gives you options. At closing time, I stayed late again. Mrs. Doyle walked by. You live here now? Feels like it, I said. She studied me. You ever think about leaving? I shrugged. I don't get to think much. She nodded slowly. Sometimes staying costs more than leaving. Later, I went to Caldwell's office to drop off reports. The door was half open. Can't keep stalling, he said into the phone. The zoning issue killed us. I froze. I don't care what it takes, he snapped. We need liquidity. I stepped back before he saw me. My heart raced all the way home. That night, I opened my laptop. Numbers blurred, but one thing stood out. The property. The place that kicked me out. I called Ethan. How hard would it be to buy something big? He laughed. Depends who you are. I mean anonymously. He went quiet. Why? Because I think they're about to bleed. Silence stretched. You're serious, he said. I've never been more serious. The next day, Caldwell was sweating through his shirt. Mark, he barked, where's the lease audit? Almost done, Mark said. Almost isn't done, Caldwell snapped. Lena avoided both of them. I sat quietly, watching. At lunch, Lena slid into the seat across from me. They're planning something. Who? Caldwell. Mark. Me. I raised an eyebrow. Me? She hesitated. They want someone to blame. Someone expendable. I stared at her. Why tell me? She swallowed. Because it's wrong. I nodded. Thank you. She whispered, I'm sorry. For before. I met her eyes. So am I. That afternoon, Mrs. Doyle stopped me again. Be careful, she said softly. With what? With timing. I didn't ask how she knew. That evening, Ethan sent another message. There's a listing coming up. Quiet sale. My fingers trembled. Send details. When I saw the address, my breath caught. It was them. I leaned back and whispered, "So this is the crack." The world didn't shake. No lightning struck. But something shifted. And for the first time, I wasn't standing under it. I read the address 3 times, hoping I was wrong. "You're sure?" I asked into the phone. Ethan laughed softly. I checked twice. "It's their property." I leaned back in my chair. "They're really selling." "Quietly," he said. "Desperation does that." At work, Caldwell slammed his door before noon. Mark muttered, "He's losing it." I looked up. "Bad morning?" "Every morning," Mark said. "Budgets. Investors. Someone's pulling out." I nodded, pretending ignorance. Lena passed by and whispered, "Meeting later." Closed door. "About what?" She shook her head. "Us." That night, Ethan spread documents across his kitchen table. "You'll need a front," he said. "A clean one. I don't want my name anywhere near it." "That's smart," he replied. "I'll handle the structure." I exhaled slowly. "What if they recognize the move?" "They won't," he said. "They don't think like you." I stared at the numbers. They taught me not to. The next day, Mrs. Doyle stopped me near the stairs. "Things are changing," she said. "I've noticed." She lowered her voice. "Ownership doesn't always survive pressure." "People do," I replied. She studied me. "Some people." That afternoon, Caldwell called another meeting. "We need cooperation," he said sharply. "Everyone needs to step up." Mark nodded too fast. Lena kept her eyes down. I raised my hand. "What happens if we don't?" Caldwell's eyes flicked to me. "Then we make adjustments." I smiled politely. "Of course." After work, Ethan texted. "Offer drafted. Waiting on you." My hands shook as I typed. "Send it." Minutes passed. Then an hour. I sat alone in my apartment, lights off, phone face up on the table. "If this fails," I whispered, "I'm done." The phone buzzed. They acknowledged receipt. I closed my eyes. "That's it?" "For now," Ethan said when I called. "Now we wait." Waiting was worse than losing. At work, Caldwell grew erratic. "Mark, fix this." "I'm trying." "Try harder." Lena cornered me in the hallway. "They're talking about layoffs." I nodded. "I know." "You're too calm," she said. "I'm tired of panic," I replied. That evening, Ethan called again. They countered. My heart jumped. "How bad?" "Not bad," he said. "They want speed." I laughed once. "Of course they do." "Can you meet the deadline?" "Yes," I said. "I can." The next morning, Caldwell didn't make eye contact. Mark whispered, "Something big's happening." I smiled. Big things usually do. By noon, Ethan sent the final message. Offer accepted. Pending signatures. I sat there, stunned. "They said yes," I whispered. Ethan grinned through the phone. "Congratulations." "It doesn't feel real." "It will," he said. "Soon." I looked around the office. The desks. The walls. The people who ignored me once. "They have no idea," I said. "No," Ethan replied. "They really don't." That night, I signed papers with shaking hands. Each signature felt heavier than the last. When it was done, I leaned back and laughed quietly. "They kicked me out," I said. "And now I own it." Ethan raised his glass. To patience. I stared at the documents. To timing. To silence. To the offer no one ever expected. I didn't announce myself. That was the first shock. I walked through the front doors like I belonged there, because now I did. The receptionist looked up. Can I help? Oh. Morning. Morning, I said. Is everyone in the conference room? She hesitated. Yes, but Mr. Caldwell said. I know what he said, I replied. I'll take it from here. Her mouth opened, then closed. She nodded. The hallway felt shorter than I remembered. Mark was the first to see me. He frowned. Why are you here? I smiled. Meeting. That's for management. I know. Lena glanced up from her phone. Her face drained of color. Wait, what? Mr. Caldwell stood at the head of the table, mid-sentence. He stopped when he saw me. This meeting is private, he said. I took an empty chair. Not anymore. His jaw tightened. You don't have authority to be here. I leaned back. Actually, I do. Silence fell hard. Mark laughed nervously. Is this a joke? I slid a folder onto the table. You should read that. Caldwell didn't move. Remove him. No one did. Mrs. Doyle cleared her throat. Sir, you may want to look. Caldwell snatched the folder, flipping pages faster than his hands could handle. What is this? He snapped. Ownership transfer, I said. He looked up slowly. That's not possible. It's signed, I replied. And funded. Mark stood. You're lying. I met his eyes. Sit down. He froze. Lena whispered, You bought it? Yes. Caldwell's face turned red. You think this is funny? No, I said calmly. I think this is fair. You were an employee, he said. Nothing more. And you treated me like nothing, I replied. So here we are. He slammed the folder down. This is a mistake. I leaned forward. You gave me 30 minutes once. His eyes flickered. 30 minutes to erase 8 years, I continued. Do you remember what you said? He swallowed. This isn't personal. I nodded. It never is. Mark shook his head. You can't do this. I can, I said. And I am. Lena covered her mouth. What happens now? I stood. Now we talk about changes. Caldwell laughed bitterly. You think you're in charge? I looked around the room. Does anyone disagree? No one spoke. I turned back to him. Your contract is terminated. His chair scraped back. You can't fire me. I can, I said. Effective immediately. You're enjoying this, he snapped. I shook my head. I'm ending it. Mark's voice cracked. What about us? I met his gaze. That depends. On what? He asked. Honesty, I replied. He looked away. Lena whispered, I didn't know. I know, I said. That's why you're staying. She exhaled sharply. Caldwell pointed at me. You think power makes you better? No, I said. It just shows who you already are. He laughed again, but there was fear under it now. You'll regret this. I walked to the door. I already lived the regret. Mrs. Doyle stood as I passed. Welcome back, she said quietly. Thank you, I replied. Outside the room, my hands started shaking. I leaned against the wall, breathing hard. You okay? Lena asked softly. I will be, I said. Mark stepped out last. You planned this. Yes. He swallowed. You didn't warn me. I looked at him. You didn't warn me either. He nodded slowly. I deserve that. You deserve the truth, I said. Nothing more. That afternoon, emails went out. Announcements. Reassignments. I watched from my new office. The same desk. Different weight. Ethan called. How'd it go? I laughed quietly. They didn't see it coming. Did you feel good? He asked. I thought about it. No. He paused. Then you're doing it right. As the sun dipped, I stood by the window. This was the room they kicked me out of. I touched the glass. I didn't come back to win, I whispered. I turned off the light and walked out. I came back to replace what broke. And for the first time, the building felt silent in the right way. I thought victory would feel loud. It didn't. It felt quiet, slow, and heavy, like standing still while everything else started to fall. The first email came that morning. Can I see you? Mark wrote. I replied, in my office. 10 minutes. When he walked in, he didn't sit. I didn't sleep, he said. I did, I replied. He swallowed. People are talking. They always do. They're saying audits are coming. Yes. He rubbed his hands together. You're going after us. I leaned back. I'm fixing what was broken. That's the same thing, he said. It wasn't when you did it to me, I replied. He flinched. I didn't think they'd fire you. You didn't think at all, I said. Silence stretched. Finally, he whispered, what happens to me? That depends, I said. Did you change the reports? His eyes dropped. I nodded. There it is. I was told to, he said quickly. Caldwell said. I'm not Caldwell, I said. And excuses don't rewrite numbers. His shoulders slumped. So I'm done. You're being investigated, I replied. That's all. That's enough, he said quietly. When he left, I didn't feel relief. I felt tired. Lena stood in the doorway later. People are scared. They should be honest, I said. She nodded. Caldwell's telling everyone you set him up. I smiled faintly. Of course he is. He wants to meet you, she added. Not today. She hesitated. I wanted to say thank you. For what? For not throwing me out, she said. You could have. I know, I replied. She crossed her arms. Why didn't you? I thought for a moment. Because fear makes people cruel. I already know how that feels. Her eyes softened. You're not who they think you are. I'm not who I used to be either, I said. That afternoon, Mrs. Doyle brought files to my office. Compliance issues, she said. Deep ones. How deep? I asked. She sighed. Deep enough to sink reputations. I flipped through pages. Caldwell signed off on all of this. Yes, she said. And blamed you in his notes. I laughed once. He really thought I'd never see this. People who feel powerful stop looking back, she said. Noted, I replied. By evening, Caldwell's name was everywhere. Emails. Calls. Rumors. I didn't touch any of it. Ethan called me. You're trending. That's not comforting, I said. Neither is karma, he replied. But it's effective. Does it ever feel like too much? I asked. He paused. Does justice? I didn't answer. The next day, Caldwell showed up unannounced. Security called me. He's here. I closed my eyes. Let him wait. An hour passed. Then 2. When I finally walked into the lobby, he was pacing. You enjoying this? He snapped. I stopped a few feet away. I didn't invite you. You destroyed me, he said. You did that, I replied. I gave you everything, he shouted. You gave me conditions, I said. And took everything else. People stared. I didn't care. You think you're better than me now, he demanded. I looked at him. Tired. Smaller. No, I said quietly. I think I survived you. His mouth opened, then closed. You'll regret this, he said again, weaker this time. I already lived regret, I replied. This is recovery. Security stepped closer. Caldwell laughed, hollow. You won't sleep at night. I met his eyes. I already do. When he was gone, Lena whispered, that was hard to watch. It was harder to live, I said. Days passed. Audits confirmed everything. Mark was suspended. Then charged. Lena resigned on her own. She stopped by my office on her last day. I should have spoken up sooner, she said. Yes, I replied. She nodded. I hope you don't hate me. I don't, I said. I just won't forget. She smiled sadly. That's fair. When she left, the office felt lighter. New managers arrived. People spoke carefully now. Not afraid. Aware. One evening, Ethan joined me on the roof. You won, he said. I looked out at the city. No. What do you call this then? I call it balance, I replied. He studied me. You okay? I thought about Mark. Caldwell. The rain. The box. I'm learning, I said. To do what? To let things fall without pushing them. Ethan smiled. That's growth. I nodded slowly. Karma didn't rush. It didn't shout. It just showed up, on time, and did its job. And for the first time, I didn't feel the need to watch it work. Caldwell didn't call ahead this time. He waited. Lena came into my office and said, he's downstairs. I didn't look up. How long? Almost an hour. I nodded. Tell him I'll be there when I'm ready. She hesitated. Are you? I closed the file in front of me. I don't know. When I finally walked into the lobby, he stood near the window, hands clasped, shoulders hunched. He looked older. Smaller. You wanted to see me, I said. He turned slowly. Thank you for coming. You didn't come here for thanks, I replied. He nodded. No. I came to say something. I gestured toward a bench. Then say it. He sat. I stayed standing. I was wrong, he said. I waited. I treated you like a tool, he continued. And when I didn't need you, I threw you away. I crossed my arms. That's accurate. His jaw tightened. I thought power meant control. And now? I asked. Now I know it meant fear, he said. Mine. I looked at the floor, then back at him. You're apologizing because you lost. Yes, he said quickly. But also because I finally see it. I let the silence stretch. I replay that day, he said. The way you stood there. Quiet. I thought you were weak. I met his eyes. I was patient. He nodded slowly. That's worse. Why now? I asked. Because everything fell apart, he said. And the only thing that stayed was the truth. I exhaled. You humiliated me. I know. You erased me. I know. You watched others do the same. He lowered his head. I let it happen. I leaned against the wall. Do you want forgiveness? He looked up. I don't deserve it. That wasn't my question. He swallowed. Yes. I studied him. The man who once decided my worth in minutes. I carried you with me, I said. Every insult. Every order. Every time you said it wasn't personal. He flinched. I was lying. I know, I replied. To yourself most of all. He rubbed his face. If I could go back. You can't, I cut in. I know, he said softly. I stepped closer. Do you know what hurt most? He shook his head. You didn't fire me, I said. You replaced me before I even left. Tears welled in his eyes. I was afraid you'd outgrow me. I laughed once. So you pushed me down? Yes. We sat in silence again. I don't hate you, I said finally. He looked surprised. You don't? No, I replied. Hate keeps people alive in your head. He nodded. Then what do you feel? Finished, I said. He breathed out, shaky. I don't expect mercy. You're not getting mercy, I replied. You're getting honesty. He waited. You broke something in me, I said. But you didn't destroy it. His voice cracked. I'm sorry. I believed him. Not because he said it right. Because he said it late. I forgive you, I said. He closed his eyes, tears spilling. Thank you. I didn't do it for you, I added. He nodded. I know. I stood. This doesn't fix your life. I know, he repeated. It just frees mine, I said. He stood slowly. I hope you build something better. I already am, I replied. He hesitated. Can I ask one last thing? Yes. Did you ever think of forgiving me before today? I considered it. No. He smiled sadly. That makes sense. We shook hands. His grip was weak. As he walked away, he stopped. You were never nothing. I watched him leave. When I returned upstairs, Ethan was waiting. How'd it go? He asked. I forgave him, I said. He raised an eyebrow. And? And I slept better tonight, I replied. Lena passed by. Everything okay? Yes, I said. It finally is. That evening, I stood alone in the office. The lights were low. The building hummed softly. I remembered the rain. The box. The silence. I'm done carrying it, I whispered. And for the first time since Rebirth, I felt lighter than I ever had before. I came in early that morning, before anyone else could fill the halls with noise. The building felt different now. Not empty. Settled. I set my keys on the desk and looked around. Same walls. Same windows. Different weight. Ethan called while I was making coffee. You're up early. I didn't sleep much, I said. Good reason or bad? Good, I replied. I was thinking. He laughed softly. That can be dangerous. I used to think silence meant failure, I said. Now it feels like control. That's growth, he said. I hung up and opened my email. Reports were clean. Complaints were down. People were working instead of whispering. Lena had left a note on my desk before she resigned. Do better than they did. I folded it carefully and slipped it into my pocket. Mid-morning, Mrs. Doyle stopped by. Everything's finalized, she said. New leadership structure. Long-term stability. Thank you, I replied. She studied me. You changed this place. I just removed the rot, I said. She smiled. That takes courage. No, I said. It takes memory. By noon, I walked through every floor. People nodded. Some smiled. No one looked away. Morning, sir, a guard said. Morning, I answered. The word didn't feel strange anymore. I stepped into the old apartment upstairs. The one they kicked me out of. Empty now. Clean. Waiting. I stood in the center of the room and laughed quietly. Full circle. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. This is Mark. I heard you rebuilt everything. I'm glad it wasn't for nothing. I stared at the screen, then typed back. It wasn't. That was all. I locked the door behind me and headed back down. That evening, the sun dipped low, painting the windows gold. I stood in my office, watching the city move without me. 8 years ago, I begged to belong. Today, I didn't need permission. Ethan stopped by after work. Drinks? Another time, I said. I want to stay. He nodded. You've earned that. When he left, I turned off the lights one by one. The building hummed softly. Alive. Safe. I leaned against the window and closed my eyes. I remembered the rain. The box. The way my hands shook as I stood outside with nowhere to go. I thought that was the end, I whispered. It wasn't. It was a lesson. They kicked me out like I was nothing. They measured me by usefulness, silence, obedience. And I believed them. For a while. I picked up the keys and weighed them in my hand. I was never nothing, I said aloud. I just didn't know my value yet. I locked the doors from the inside and stepped into the night. Not running. Not hiding. Just walking forward. And this time, I didn't disappear.